हेलो एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है मेरे यूट्यूब चैनल पे बिटवीन द नाइट्स। आज मैं रिएक्ट करने वाला हूँ एक वीडियो पे जिसका टाइटल है 10 इवेंट्स दैट शोक द वर्ल्ड इन 2023 फ्लैशबैक विद पल्की शर्मा। आई विल गिव द लिंक टू द ओरिजिनल वीडियो इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स। गो एंड चेक इट आउट, गिव इट अ थम्स अप, कम बैक, रिएक्ट विद मी, गिव मी अ थम्स अप, सब्सक्राइब टू माई चैनल एंड लेट्स फाइंड आउट 10 इवेंट्स दैट शोक द वर्ल्ड।
The year was 2023. That's right, no throwbacks to black and white. This episode is all about the year gone by, the highs, the lows, and the people who shaped them. Now, who doesn't like a top 10 list? So that's what we're doing, a look at the top 10 events of 2023. Time for a flashback.
I saw that small icon of Barbie and Oppenheimer merged together at the corner. How is that the event that shook the world in 2023? I'm curious to know.
We wanted a good start to the year, but almost immediately, tragedy struck. An earthquake in West Asia. It ripped across central Turkey and northern Syria. Around 7.8 on the Richter scale, the people had no chance. More than 160,000 buildings collapsed, and Turkey took the brunt of it. Some 44,000 people lost their lives. If you add Syria, around 50,000 dead.
$50,000.
It was a horrible start to 2023, but the earthquake did bring people and countries together. Aid flowed in from all parts of the world. So did messages of support. Months later, those cities are slowly reviving. The wounds haven't healed yet, but time has a way of doing that. We can only hope that Turkey will be better prepared in the future. Some of those buildings were substandard. That's one reason why so many people died. Meanwhile, far away, a different sort of tremor was brewing. In the world of music, on March 17th, Taylor Swift took the stage in Glendale, US. It was the start of a new tour, the Eras Tour. Swifties went crazy immediately. The rest of us were scratching our heads. What's the big deal? It's just a concert after all. But pretty soon, things became clear. It wasn't just a concert. Taylor Swift did 60 shows in 24 cities, all of them full house. In Seattle, things went out of control. 70,000 fans plus loud music equals earthquake. That's right, Swifties caused minor tremors in Seattle. Around 2.3 on the Richter scale. Put together, she sold around 4.3 million tickets. Guess how much that earned? More than $1 billion. It's the only tour to ever gross $1 billion. And don't forget the side hustles. Merchandise made $200 million. The Eras Tour movie made $250 million. Yes, that's a lot of money. When Taylor came to town, inflation went up. We are not kidding. Hotels were double booked. Restaurants were packed. So obviously inflation increased. Swifties are not complaining though. They're happy with Taylor's record-breaking year. She ends it as Time Magazine's Person of the Year. And speaking of records, India set a new one in April. It overtook China.
I didn't know Taylor Swift was this popular. ये तो like movie actors वगैरह का भी record तोड़ दिया.
China as the most populous country in the world. As of April, India had 1.42 billion people. China was at 1.41 billion. Again, a big moment.
According to some records, India was going to do it in 2025. We did it like 2 years before the projected date. Not proud of it. Nobody should be. It's a cause of concern.
Since 1950, China has been the most populous country. Maybe even before that, but 1950 is when the UN started counting. China wasn't happy though. They thought the population was a burden. So by the 1980s, they brought in a new policy, the one-child policy, one family, one child. Here in India, that was not the case, so China's population slowed down over time and India's kept surging ahead. In the West, news editors were on a roll. They added their racist twist to it, like this German magazine. Its cartoon triggered a lot of criticism in India. Apparently, China is the bullet train, India is the slow, burdened one. The cartoon got slow claps and no laughs. I'll tell you who was laughing though. Saudi Arabia. In early June, they made a purchase. Saudi Arabia
I love how they like swiftly, slowly, whatever, switch into the next news. I like the twist.
bought golf. It's exactly as it sounds. You see, golf was controlled by PGA, a non-profit based in the United States. They hold all the tournaments and manage players. But in 2021, Saudi Arabia launched a rival league, Live Golf. They began poaching golfers. And we are talking huge offers. Tiger Woods, for example, was offered $800 million. He turned it down. He said PGA or nothing. But this year, the PGA made a U-turn. They decided to merge with Live Golf.
I recognize that people are going to call me a hypocrite, but circumstances do change, and I think that, in looking at the big picture and looking at it this way, that's what got us to this point.
Things haven't been smooth, though. It's been a tough merger, one that is yet to be completed. December 31st is being called a deadline, but chances are it will have to be extended. When the deal was announced, Saudi Arabia was accused of sports washing, an accusation that lasted exactly 1 month, because in July, the world found its new obsession, or should I say, obsessions.
Why was this on the list? I don't get it. Saudi Arabia launched a golf league. They merged with the original one, or like the previous one. What's the big deal?
Barbie and Oppenheimer. Two movies, two very different worlds, but one huge marketing success. They called it Barbenheimer. Barbie was a fantasy movie based on the play doll. Oppenheimer was about how America built the nuclear bomb. Like I said, very different, but the internet loved it. And when the internet loves something, memes follow. So who won this contest? Barbie did. It made $1.38 billion at the box office. Oppenheimer made around $926 million. In India, it was the opposite though. Barbie was second, Oppenheimer was first. Either way, Barbenheimer made us realize one thing. There are 4 kinds of people in the world. Those who saw Barbie, those who saw Oppenheimer, those who saw both, and those who saw neither. And the reason
I have only watched Barbie, but that's not because I like support Barbie and not Oppenheimer. I will watch Oppenheimer when I'm in the mood. It all depends on the frame of mind. Barbie has like some sort of colorful visuals and like this happy kind of setting from the first look, from the trailer. So that's why I watched it, because I was feeling like that at that point of time. But it is anything but. The undertones are very dark. There are subtle hints towards giving in to the extremes. If you watch the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. I will watch Oppenheimer.
The reason we know this is because of Twitter. My mistake, X. In late July,
Oh.
Elon Musk dropped a
That did shake the world. X, I'm talking about.
He said Twitter would now be called X. The old blue bird was gone. In its place came a dark X. Sums up the whole situation. Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion in 2022. Since then, a lot has changed. Most features are now paid for, like the blue tick.
Let that sink in. Did you see that?
You pay, you get verified. And verified users can see 6,000 tweets per day. Others can see only 600. Headlines have also been removed. If you share a news article, only the picture is displayed, not the headline. And don't forget, the vocabulary changes. You can't retweet anymore. So are you re-Xing? It's weird, but Elon Musk doesn't seem to care. Advertisers have fled, ad revenue has halved, but people still use the platform. When big things happen, you still go to X. Like when India landed on the moon, probably.
Wow, that transition, it was brilliant. Also, like, people will go to X as long as it has the power to influence the masses, and it still does.
The highlight of 2023. India launched Chandrayaan-3 in July. After that came the agonizing wait. The shuttle made its way to the lunar orbit. Once there, the lander came out. That's Vikram. And Vikram had the toughest job, to slow down and land on the south pole of the moon. No spoilers here. Of course, Vikram made it. Inside the lander was ISRO's lunar rover, Pragyan. It spent a couple of days on the moon, drove around, and sent us these pictures and videos. It was all magical. No other country has landed on the moon's south pole. 4 countries have made it to the moon. Also, this was India's second attempt. The first in 2019 was a failure. I guess that made Chandrayaan 3 all the more exciting. Fresh off that success, India pulled off another one. The G20 leaders.
I remember when the Chandrayaan was landing. I was in Delhi. I was constantly looking at my phone screen, and because I remember what happened last time, all the tears, all the crying, and I was praying to God that does not happen again, and it did not.
Is a summit. New Delhi was playing host. Some 30 world leaders descended on the city. India had never hosted anything like this, not since the non-aligned summit in the previous century. Naturally, not everyone was happy.
They had to show Melanie. It's crazy.
China's Xi Jinping decided to skip, and he did not even say why. Despite that, the summit was a huge success, the highlight being the African Union's inclusion in the G20.
आगे की कार्यवाही शुरू करने से पहले मैं अफ्रीकन यूनियन के अध्यक्ष को G20 के स्थायी सदस्य के रूप में अपना स्थान ग्रहण करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
I guess it's the G21 now. By the end of the summit, the internet had a new obsession. #Melody. Prime Minister Modi of India and Italian Prime Minister
They are talking about it. I knew that clip was deliberate. They deliberately put it there.
Giorgia Meloni. They have a great working relationship, one that the internet loved. At the recent COP28, both leaders played on it. Meloni posted this selfie with Prime Minister Modi, and look at the hashtag Melody. Yes, that one is sticking. While the G20 was good for Africa.
It did stick. Also, there are so many memes and videos floating around. Jisme Melanie is shown joining her hands together in a namaste. So that is also being linked to Modi. It's all very funny.
Africa, the rest of the year wasn't. There were 2 military coups, the first in Niger, the second in Gabon. We saw 2 attempted coups as well in Sierra Leone and Guinea-Bissau. The Niger coup was arguably the most damaging. The military detained President Mohamed Bazoum. He still remains in their custody. Meanwhile, the coup leaders found a convenient enemy, France, their former rulers. They burnt French flags, they attacked the French embassy, even targeted French soldiers. Around 1,500 of them are stationed in Niger. It's part of an anti-terror operation. At first, President Emmanuel Macron stood firm. He said the soldiers will not leave. But by October, the game was up. French soldiers are on their way back. As for the junta, they look unshakable. West African countries threatened to use force against them. Even that did not work. Maybe the time to reverse is up. These coups have reinforced the idea of the West African coup belt, an area where takeovers are common and the dangers are obvious. West Africa is also home to Islamist terrorists. You need a responsible government to take them on, which brings us to the final event of 2023, the Israel-Hamas war.
And probably the biggest one.
On October 7, Hamas terrorists entered Israel. They slaughtered 1,200 innocent Israelis, including women, children, and the elderly. We are now hearing of brutal sex crimes as well. Hamas also took more than 200 hostages, and Israel was clearly caught napping. But once it woke up, it was all-out war.
את כל המקומות שהחמאס נערך בהם, של עיר הרשע הזאת, כל המקומות שהחמאס מסתתר בהם, פועל מתוכם, נהפוך אותם לאיי חורבות.
Western leaders made a beeline for Israel. Such was the brutality of the Hamas attack. But as Israel hit back, the sentiments changed. Netanyahu's intentions were clear. He was not looking for victory. He was looking for revenge. As we record this, more than 20,000 Gazans have died. Around 40% of them are children. The entire population of Gaza is displaced, so the world has said enough is enough. More than 150 countries have joined calls for a ceasefire, India included. But Israel has not stopped yet. Their stated goal is to annihilate Hamas. But at what cost? It's a question that will carry over into the new year. And looking back, this one has been a mixed bag. Lots of joy, yes, but many challenges remain. From high inflation to two wars to risk of a recession. But a new year brings new hope. A hope that this year will be better than the one before.
Wow, that was quick. One news to another news, like how brilliantly they switched between the news. It was very nicely done. First thing that I want to talk about is Chandrayaan landing. Uh, she covered most of the part, except that after the Chandrayaan landed, there were so many racist remarks from the West. Especially, I remember a British anchor. I think he was shouting on a national TV saying that we should stop giving money to countries that have a space program. Uh, well, in answer to that, you shouldn't stop giving us money because you haven't paid everything back yet. We are asking for what we are owed and for reparations for ruining our country and throwing us under the bus that led to the industrial civilization. On a second note, there is Israeli-Hamas war, which I don't know when it's going to end, but it has caused a lot of lives of civilians. And the pictures that came up, like right what she showed, the dead bodies wrapped in white cloths and a rose sitting on it. It was very horrifying to see. There were pictures of children floating around the internet. And what's astonishing is that there are 153 countries who have called for a ceasefire, and still there is nothing there. So, thank God the situation is in Kashmir is not like that. And I hope that the situation in Israel and Hamas resolves itself soon, or the UN steps in, or some power steps in that can actually control it. So I guess that's it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Subscribe my channel, give me a thumbs up, show the YouTube algorithm that you like what you're watching. If you're not liking it, show it anyway. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.